Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the Developing Dads podcast, episode number 95. Again, I don't know why we keep saying 95, but I think when we get to 100, we'll stop saying the episode number. Because I don't think anyone gives a shit, really, to be honest.
I don't think Tim Ferriss starts his podcast with episode 5251.
Because that's who we're competing against, isn't it, Neil? Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss's podcast, absolutely. Either way, yeah, very well welcome to the Developing Dads podcast. We are behind schedule. Neil's really selfish and went off on a stag do. I've just been busy.
I got ready for a podcast. I think it was Friday morning. We were miscommunication. I was sitting in the living room, all ready, set up. Text Gordon, when you coming on?
I was like, nah.
So, yeah, just busy.
Yeah. So we didn't manage to get one in on our time schedule, but I'm going to try and get this out tomorrow. I think that'll be all right. Be easy enough. Pretty quick edit. But either way, yeah, welcome to episode number 95 of the Developing Dads podcast. We are going to do one. We were kind of talking previously in other episodes, so any long-term, sort of 3.5 listeners, long-term listeners, they'll know that we feel pressure to entertain people and talk about difficult subjects and whatnot. But sometimes it's actually quite difficult to keep up with general political changes around the world, but also coming up with content ideas. And sometimes it's just nice to sit down and have a chat. So a few of the episodes have been doing that, but this one, Neil was like, you got any ideas for something to talk about today? One of mine was what we would do differently. So some things that we thought we perhaps like. I don't know if you're the same, Neil, but the reason I came up with this is because some people come up with the idea that I have no regrets. Like, I've got no regrets.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, bollocks. I mean, maybe it's not a regret because, something happened and the way it went, but it's probably things you would change, right? That's a slightly different way to look at it. It's not necessarily a regret, but it's like, hey, you know what? If I had hindsight or a bunch of other shit along with that, I'd probably maybe change it or tweak it or do something a little bit different. So we're going to kind of go through those. A few of those, anyway. We normally start this podcast just because, men don't typically talk to each other much. And if they do, it's usually over a pint, so it's a bit kind of like slurred and sloppy and not very great. So, Neil, how are you doing? Given that we already mentioned you've been on a stag do, how did you get on with that? Where I find myself not really having the same kind of energy as I used to have back in the day. For such things as getting absolutely shit-faced. So, yeah, how was it?
Yeah, so I'll start off at the start of the week. Down in London for a couple of days. Obviously, we went out for dinner, which was nice. Didn't record a podcast, which was also quite nice. Just having some time. Went to, I can't remember the restaurant called. What was it called again?
Our restaurant, or the one we went to? Oh, Bodines. Yeah.
Bodines.
Cool. We should have what we should have done when we went to the pub and had a few drinks. I should have just whipped out the podcast gear and we started just like recording one there and then. Anyway.
Yeah, that probably would have worked. But we're here now. We went down to London. That was quite a quick 24-hour trip, and then got back that night. And then, as Gordon mentioned, I was up to a stag do in Aviemore. So I'm based in Edinburgh, so it's about a 2.5-hour drive. I was also picking up 6 people from the airport with my family bus. The stag himself was coming in from Copenhagen, as well as 5 of his friends, and they were all already pretty drunk. So I had the joys of taxiing them.
We stopped. Neil? Are we talking like can't drive?
Yeah, they couldn't. They probably had like 5 or 6 pints in.
Oh! What time in the morning was this?
It wasn't until about 12, half 12, I think. Picked them up.
I mean, 6 pints before 12 o'clock. Stag do going.
Yeah, so they managed to sober up in the car, but we ended up going to a service station with the Marks and Spencers, and there's beer there, so they're drinking in the car as well. I was a bit jealous, but I got my first drink kind of late afternoon. We arrived at the boutique hostel, which didn't have high hopes because the word hostel just gives me a bit of creep, a bit of fear. But
it's just cheap. That's what it is. Yeah. Hostel is just cheap. That's all it stands for.
This had boutique at the start of it. So anyway, It turned out to be really, really nice. We shared a room, so there's two people per room. Thankfully, it's single beds. There's 20 rooms. So there's about 30 people in the stag, and everyone had their own bathroom. So it was a very quite luxurious, big kitchen, big kind of breakout area with a projector for TV, and it was just newly done up.
So you just hired the whole place, basically, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So it was nice. Yeah, really nice. And we had a whiskey tasting to start the night off. So we had 5 whiskies to taste and a professional kind of guy coming in to do it, which was nice. And the evening went on till about 3 a.m. And I haven't had a session like that for a long time.
Just bearing in mind as well, Neil's bedtime is 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as he gets closer to bedtime, I notice this more when he messages me, right? So sometimes I'll send Neil maybe a message at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and he's already got the do not disturb notification thing on his phone at that time. So I'm slightly concerned about how he's feeling at 3 a.m. given he puts do not disturb on at about 6 p.m.
Yeah, that's a good analysis, Gordon. So there's a
beer pong analysis. It's exactly what happens.
A beer pong competition, and I got to the semi-finals. And a beer pong competition with about 30 lads takes a long time to get through, so that's why we're up. I mean, individuals playing or as a team. Yeah, individuals playing.
You're gonna be fucked up by the time you get to the final. Because that's like, how many games are you playing? Like 30 down to 15. Well, you can't do 30, can you?
I think it was maybe like 25 people, 26 people.
All right, so it'd have to be 24 because you go down to 12, then 6. And then even that wouldn't work. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, you got to the semi-final.
Yeah, it worked out semi-final, and then I decided to call it. Well, I failed. I didn't fail. I didn't get through to the finals, so I went to bed. And then I volunteered to do bacon rolls for 30 of the guys at 8 a.m.
Are you the only person with 3 kids?
No. There's other parents, other dads.
Oh, as in 3 kids though.
Yeah, I'm the only one with 3 kids.
Right. Yeah. So. The most deemed in the hierarchy of responsibility, you bestowed yourself with the bacon roll cooking.
So managed that. Father-in-law helped out, and the stag helped out as well, which was quite nice.
Good lad.
Got to give him a shout out. Bus came to pick us up about 9:30, off to do clay pigeon shooting, quad biking, and Highland Games. So it's an action-packed day, and then ended up at the pub about 3 o'clock. More drinks, Indian. Watched the rugby on Saturday night in the big projector. And Saturday night, I was taking it easy because Sunday morning I was driving quite early, so I didn't want to take the piss. So I was in bed by about 11.
Strong.
And then drove home. So yeah, it was like, and one thing I keep saying to my colleagues is it's amazing 30 guys can come together from all nationalities, all backgrounds, all ages. There's uncles, there's grandparents there and stuff like that, and all have an awesome time. I didn't know, maybe 80% of them I didn't know. But we all got on, and
I mean, when you have like an adult present, right? So I'm calling like dads and granddads, right, and uncles there. Okay, so they're about a 20-year, 30-year difference to some of the blokes that were there, right? There's a flattening of the curve when they're in attendance. So there could be extreme ends of a stag do, right? But if you've got adults there, then it generally just kind of compresses those ends of the curve, and then it just flattens it a little bit, where there's standard debauchery that occurs across a stag do where there's plenty of drinking and lewd chat of some kind, I'm sure. But it's not like... I bet there was a few people there that were like trying to get hold of a drug dealer or trying to get hold of a stripper or... or would have wanted to if there hadn't been a dad there compressing the top end of the extremes.
That's fair. The remote location, though, there's definitely no stag do's. Maybe drugs you could find somewhere, but not stag do's, strippers.
Yes. Well, I mean, you could get a cow. I mean, but yeah, I think that's what tends to happen is when parents turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's not the fully fueled. It's not the full, 99 job.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that's probably what helped, and also alcohol helps. Like everyone's a bit nicer when they've got alcohol in them, generally speaking.
Yeah. But it's nice to to meet everyone before the wedding. The wedding's not till February, so a bit of time. But yeah, it was a decent, wholesome weekend. And for Monday, I wasn't feeling too bad. Today, I'm kind of back to normal. I'd say.
Nice.
Pretty solid. How's your week been?
I went to Dublin for 6 hours.
Nice.
No, it's rubbish. Well, let's not say rubbish. It's just kind of just basically took off, landed, did some work, got back on the plane and flew home.
Is that filming or is it more strategy stuff?
Yeah, it's filming stuff. So it was it was very random. But yeah, anyway, it was just in and out. I still have this internal debate often with myself now, is kind of, if I'm spending my time doing something, is it better than spending time with Olivia and Laura? And if it's often a no, but it's kind of like, how close is it to that? That's my barometer of like having a great time. And things like that are just not quite on the same barometer, if I'm honest. I don't mind doing it, but at the same time, I'm just like,
it's a big day out.
Oh, it's a long day, and anyway, not so great. But I managed to have a couple of Guinnesses, which was quite nice, and it does taste nicer in Dublin. Not gonna lie. Have you been in Dublin? No, right? It's maybe a shout.
Yeah,
it's cheap flight as well. Like, I looked up some flight prices, and if you go kind of like off season-ish, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, and there's loads from Edinburgh flights.
Yeah, and it's a cool place to go, fun thing to do. So maybe we have a pub crawl there. I mean, Neil. Then we had a bit of lunch on the Sunday with some friends, so just catching up with them, see how they're getting on. Kind of similar life stage sort of thing, so it's general chat, whatnot, which was kind of nice. And then the rest of the week was just kind of, I think I saw you on, what day did I see you? Tuesday?
Wednesday night.
Yeah, Wednesday night, so that was quite nice, catching up with you and seeing you and chatting through stuff, and not having a podcast mic, I guess, so maybe it was probably better not having that in there. And then, that random thing in Bodine's was very good. And also, I must say, getting Neil onto the Black Heart. Did you like it?
Yeah, I had a scoof of that. That was quite nice. Yeah.
Scoof. For anyone who's not from Aberdeen, that's a wee drink. Scoof. I had a scoof, and that's kind of just been my week, to be honest. And then this week's kind of ground running again. Yesterday was with Olivia, which is good. We did swimming lessons, and she had a bit of an off day on the swimming thing. I don't think she was too enamoured by it, but you just kind of got to get on with it, right? Sometimes they just don't enjoy it, and it looks like cruelty, and you could probably get picked up by social services, but actually you just try to teach them life, and they've just got to get on with it, right? And Dad's paid for it, so you're going.
Did you do any Halloween-y stuff?
Nah, she's too young, and also piss off.
I'm the same vein.
I'm not bothered. Like, maybe when she gets a bit older, and it'll be a bit fun. Like if when the kids are like your kids' age, maybe I think I'd enjoy it more. Maybe, but yeah, not yet. I think
the kids.
And also, I
was going to say, my kids had a Halloween party at their school, which is quite nice. Disco thing at night time.
That'll do. Because the thing is, right? I saw this on it was on Instagram. The fantastic platform that gives you an ability to get some really reliable news. But apparently Americans this year are spending 12-point-something billion on Halloween, right, collectively, which is up like 15-20% or something, quite a lot. And it's the same thing in the UK. I think we're spending $1 billion.
Yeah,
right?
It's mad.
And average household spends about $108, I think, in the US, from the top of my mind, on like decorations and generally decorations and costumes. No, I'm not doing it. Not doing it, Neil.
There's a thing. Parents, friends of ours, grandparents have started buying them presents and wrapping them.
No,
for Halloween.
No, not happening. No, like I'm up for DIYing, like creative, like sewing things, making stuff, painting things, and then going out looking like the worst looking witch or wolf that you can possibly create. But at the end of the day, they've learned something because they've done some arts and crafts, right? I'm okay with that. But I tell you, the amount of decorations that are going on are pretty insane. There's a couple of 2 or 3 people on our street that definitely, lights are up, the, stuff's made and all sorts of bits and pieces. So yeah, maybe not, but we'll see.
Yeah, money making for the
little bit. That 100. If you put 100 quid into your kid's ISA, like that's doubling every so often, right? So that's probably going to go towards, probably their house purchase or car purchase or schooling or whatever it might be. So no, and I assume you're not doing anything. No, you haven't dressed up.
Yeah, the highlight was the disco, which we did buy costumes, but I think total spend of 30 quid for 3 of them. I'm comfortable with that. They had a great time at the party. Boys got a bit scared, but I loved it.
Fair enough. Excellent. And that's it, really. To be honest, that's all my. It's all the things that I've been up to and doing. So should we get into the meat and nuts of the pod?
Yeah.
Right. So, what, Neil, would you? I mean, looking back, this is probably for your 20s mainly, because I don't feel like you're failing right now, are you?
No, yeah, mine are pretty. One kind of lies in my 20s. But
what do you think? What do you think the audience, the 3.5 listeners, would be most interested in something you would change? What's the biggest punch in the face?
Buying my first house, I think.
Ooh, yeah.
I would go as fast as saying as far as saying that was a bit of a regret. The advice from my point of view would be just take more time. Like, don't rush into it. There's no real reason for us to buy a house at that time. Thinking about it, we only had one child. We were living in a flat, obviously, the mum and dad's flat in Union Grove. It was nice to have our own place, but yeah, we, just for the viewers, we bought somewhere about 50 minutes outside of Aberdeen. Had a train station, but not a great train service. And yeah, location, commuting options were pretty shit. Ended up losing about 15k on it in 18 months.
It's that thing. I think I've had like a couple of friends that were sort of asking me about, because I bought a house when I was 25, and they've sort of asked 25, 26 maybe, yeah, 26. I bought a house when I was 26, so they'd ask me like about house purchasing and what you get up to and what you do. And I've always taken the kind of the stance that your first house is basically just a test.
Yeah.
It's like it's your first run at this whole mental thing that is buying a house. Because like I certainly was someone who lived in flats up until I bought a house. So first of all, I never lived in a house beyond my mum and dad's house. So you also never have the responsibilities when you're renting, right? So you don't have to repair anything. You're not really allowed to nail holes in the wall. Can't paint anything. No decorating anything. Like, there's limited responsibilities. To suddenly being thrown into it where you're like fat mortgage, lots of responsibility. You got to fix everything, maintain it, decorate it, like do all the things you need to do to it. And then the cost of obviously like buying somewhere where you've got stamp duty, you've got solicitor fees, negotiation with estate agents, and like all sorts of stuff that you don't really think about. So for me, buying Downham was definitely, it was affordable and it seemed like a good place to buy because of the commute stuff that we had. But it was all bought because of that, right? It wasn't bought because it was a nice area. It wasn't bought. It was kind of like garden, driveway, 8-minute walk to a station, takes you to London Bridge in 10 minutes, 2 bedrooms, quite large, nice, done. You know, it wasn't the dream home. It wasn't the second. It wasn't the one I was going to live in forever. So, I think
we got caught up in the idyllic kind of country but small town life, and bringing our kid up with a small primary school and all that kind of stuff, which was lovely. But now look at my life where we're kind of on a suburb of a city, and we're just as happy, if not more happy. We've got amenities on our doorstep. We can walk to a big shop. We can walk to school. Yeah, good commuter options. We've got 2 train stations close by.
The commute stuff to essentials like work and school, or work education, or convenience stores like food and stuff. Like that commute's definitely got to be a correlation, at least with life standards, you know. Because if you have to commute an hour a day every single day, it's not the most fun, is it? And I can tell you right now, the COVID-19 pandemic basically just made all of us go, yeah, 5-minute walk, like a 30-second walk downstairs is much more fun than standing arse to arse with some other bloke, you know, on a train. No thanks. So, there's definitely something in that. What would be my first one? What would be my first one? I think it comes down to relationships, to be honest. And it comes down to relationships in the sense of I definitely held on to relationships in my 20s longer than I probably should have. You know, because you for various reasons you hold on to relationships, right? One is because you love them, which is probably a good sign. But a lot of it's sometimes comfort, right? Is it called the beta paradox or something? Where if the distance to go somewhere is less than a mile, you'll walk it. If it's more than a mile, you'll drive it. So your situation in a relationship isn't bad enough to want to change.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely one in my 20s. I probably spent two or three relationships that went on for years when they probably shouldn't have, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know,
like it's easy though, isn't it? As you say, like you get comfortable, like you get into a bit of a routine. You've got a person that you can go to bed with, you can wake up with, you can go on holiday with. Yeah, I get that. One of mine in the same kind of vein is I named this like don't waste time on stupid relationships. So I met somebody. I don't know if I've told the podcast about my Orkney story.
You did, Neil. Like we talked about you wanting to move to Orkney. Do you remember when we were sat in the cafe, the vegan cafe?
Yeah.
Chatting about it. We'll way back into the episodes.
Well, I did kind of move for 9 months. Like I was living there for 9 months, which is a bit mad. But just looking back, like I was 19, I think, 18 at the time. Like what good could have come? Like she was older. She had a kid, like 6 or 7 at the time. Just like give yourself a shake.
But you didn't tell me. I would have probably said something about it.
Yeah, so that's one of my things I could have changed. I mean, I had a great time, but not a great time for 9 months.
But the relationship thing, it's kind of, it is that comfortableness, and it's kind of sitting down and asking yourself, like, am I happy? And if I'm not happy, am I not doing anything about it because I'm scared of the future? Like, I'm scared of being, like, am I lovable? And, being alone and all those kind of things. Like, it's not a reason to spend time, to be with someone if you're just scared of being alone.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely would have probably ended them. I don't know how I would have done it, but I think probably just communication, right? Just talk to that person and just be like, look, I'm not digging this. But that's hard. Like, I didn't do
it. In the moment, and when you're younger as well, obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing, but you just, I don't know, I wish I had obviously we're more mature, we've got a lot more scars, a lot more life lessons. Now we're a bit older. Hindsight, yeah. I just don't know why you'd stick to a relationship you didn't want to be in, or think Orkney was a good idea. Like,
love is blind, Neil.
Yeah.
So there's a nice roof over your head, and a comfy sofa, and central heating, and your dinner being cooked for you, and your pants being washed.
True,
you know?
True.
I definitely. I don't know what I don't think I'd give any advice on what to do about it. I mean, I don't think the listeners on here. I reckon most of the listeners here are probably married already and they're fine. But there's just kind of something about having a word with yourself and just kind of being like, look, I am wasting my time here, and I need to. There's probably more out there that I could see or do. But then there's also that time thing. Like when you're 21, 22, you have so much time. I don't think you really worry too much about the future, really, do you?
Yeah, true. There's more urgency when you get older.
Definitely. Another one from me was I remember in my 20s I'd spend a lot of time just doing, like just running at a brick wall, just constantly trying to work like non-stop all the time. I'd never actually reviewing stuff. Like taking, we talk about like seasons, right? That's kind of a thing we've talked about in the podcast before, where we talk about there's seasons of life, certain times when you can work a lot, there's times when you've got to kind of hunker down and look after the family and just maintain, and then there's other times to keep pushing or push for another levels of stuff. But that's not unreasonable to review that, right? You can sit down and think about, well, okay, I'm in my flat season, I'm in maintenance mode. Whereas I didn't do that in my 20s. I didn't sit down and kind of think about, do I actually want to commute every day into work? Like, probably 2 to 4 hours a day. Yeah. Do I really want to work in a basement gym all of the time? Am I actually happy working with these types of clients? Could I change the way that I'm potentially doing it? Could I charge more? Could I could have, for example, if I'd really thought about it, I probably should have just gone full-time online. So much sooner than I did.
Yeah.
But then again, like the money was really good on one-to-one, but then I could have focused more on my online business and probably made more money because it's like larger.
Do you think you would have missed the one-to-one type stuff? You've made some pretty cool connections, I guess, through it.
Yeah, I have. Like, there's lots of benefits, and I can look back on it and say, I don't say that I regret it. That's important, but I do think that I probably could have gone a bit harder on the online stuff, and scaled that better and bigger because there's just more opportunity. But I didn't. I kind of just hunkered down on the one-to-one thing because it's what I did, right? It wasn't what I loved doing necessarily. Like, I've ever really thought about it. Did I want to be waking up at 4:15 in the morning to train a 6 a.m. client? Did I want to be working till 9 p.m. at night and not get home till 10, 11 o'clock?
Yeah, that's some brutal shifts.
Like, probably not, right? You know, there was only certain times where I'd take a decision where I remember when I moved on to my next place, I decided I wouldn't do weekends anymore. So there was kind of a review process in there, but it just wasn't very aggressive. You know, it wasn't kind of like,
yeah,
you know, because I look at my numbers now when I sit down and do my, like this year was about the reviewing and being a bit smarter about what I'm doing. And I can look at parts of my business and just be like, why am I doing, like, it's making me 10% of my revenue. Why am I doing this?
I think that comes from just learning, isn't it? Listening to podcasts, speaking to people, figuring out what they've done and how to perfect things. I guess you probably didn't have that knowledge 10 years ago.
No, and there was probably maybe a level of arrogance as well, in the sense that I think I can do it myself. Arrogance and ignorance. And I think having someone, I think there's a real value in having someone that's maybe 10 years ahead of you. Between that 5 to 10 year mark, where they've got themselves to a certain level, I think you can extract a hell of a lot of positive and knowledge and experience and understanding from that person. Because it's like me having a conversation with some of the creative guys, the videographers and things that I talk to, and I'm maybe 10 years, maybe 5 to 10 years ahead of them in terms of the things they're doing. And the value I can provide them is like, they're adding zeros to invoices, their quotes, and their confidence in terms of what they're doing, the hindsight of it all that kind of thing. I think it's so valuable, but also allowing me to be able to review things for them and say, hey, like, look at what you're doing. Do you think it's valuable for you to be spending your time doing that thing?
Yeah.
Rather than just kind of just being lost in the kind of the weeds and just kind of working away and doing your thing. I think that's what I was doing. I wasn't sitting down enough and saying, am I enjoying the time I'm spending? If not, what can I do to fix that? Did you find yourself doing that at all? Or like, were you just kind of, because obviously work, you get a little bit of that, right? You get the quarterly reviews and end of year reviews and all that kind of stuff.
Work's always been pretty good in terms of paving my path and me asking questions, me being ambitious. But I always felt throughout my career in different roles, I had somebody that was willing to push me and willing to, and I guess that's quite lucky, quite fortunate, because a lot of people probably don't have that. But yeah, I guess that's the benefit of private sector, is you have those quarterly reviews, yearly reviews, and then that's basically based on your pay increase and your bonus or whatever. But I guess if you're coming from a self-employed background, or even any background, is maybe if you're in your early 20s, try and find a mentor, as you say, someone that's 5-10 years past you. And I've actually found a mentor that is going to be meeting up with me every month and just give me some guidance.
Yeah, push you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very, very handy. All right, cool. Next one, Neil. One is punch in the face.
This is not quite a punch in the face. This is more, I don't know if you can see my list on our shared notes, but it's about having kids and the age you should have kids. I always got, did I get stick for it? Don't know. I had kids very, very young. And I love now being a 32-year-old dad to Isla and just, feeling young and very fit and healthy, being the youngest in the parents' evening, and I enjoy that side of things. But what I would have changed would be maybe having the boys earlier. Obviously, I didn't know it was twins, but there's I was 8.5. There's 3.5 years difference between them. I maybe would have made that gap a little bit smaller. So maybe, 18 months to 2 years, because it would be interesting to see what Isla would be like if she was younger, with the boys being a similar age. Because right now she's quite bossy. She tries to take charge. She's quite, I remember asking her, I think I said it in a podcast, an episode months ago, but what do you want to be when you grow up? And her reply was, I want to be the boss. So, towards the boys, she's quite fiery. And I wonder if we had them closer together, similar ages, it would have been a bit different.
Maybe. Have you ever asked any of your friends?
Yeah, but probably not actually, because do I have friends do I have anybody that maybe have got a smaller age gap? Maybe I have. Yeah, I don't know.
You know, because I think it's like maybe. So we'll probably be at some point. We're not pregnant, FYI. But maybe something in the region of like 3 years, maybe 3.5 years.
Yeah, same as us.
And to be honest, that actually feels okay, because it's kind of like you just get a sense of your life back a little bit. And I think that once they've hit that kind of like 2-year-old and older mark, they start to become like a human being, and they're still dependent on you, but they're not in some respects, right? They can entertain themselves a little bit. They can, feed themselves. They can
go to the toilet,
take their jacket off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like unzip and zip things. I don't know about a 2-year-old going to the toilet yet, Neil. That's a push.
No, I was thinking maybe 3-year-old going to the toilet.
Yeah, so things like that. It's kind of, I think that's quite helpful, because it takes a burden off of the parents a little bit. Because your kid can actually do something for themselves. So it feels like a bit of a sweet spot as well, because I think physically Laura has obviously recovered and gone back to where she was, which makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. But then there's a trepidation of going back again into the straight back into the pool. But yeah, I think it evens out a little bit, because it's quite extreme, the first one, right? It's a big jump. And you need a little bit of recovery time, I think.
Yeah, and you do see, I mean, Isla's got friends who are, I think, 12 months apart. They're very, very close. They look
straight out the womb, straight in the bedroom.
Could be twins. They're both girls, but yeah, that's mad. I don't know if it was planned. Maybe it was planned, but having them that close is a bit crazy. But I guess, I mean, twins is crazy, and you have them at the same time.
Yeah, it is. Each to their own. Like, people make their own family choices and their decisions, right? It's up to them. But for me, there's something about that sort of maybe 3-year mark, if you can do it, which feels okay. I think Laura's been concerned about that slightly in terms of like closeness, because we're 3-4 years difference, are we?
So I'm 32.
Yeah, it's maybe 3.5 years, I think, isn't it? Because you're January or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then Laura's about 4 years, I think, between her and Jack. So it's just like, she wanted closeness and whatnot, but I still think they could be close. I still think it'll work out. Isla's just a bit quite sassy, Neil.
Yeah, and we are seeing it now. Like they're playing. There's this game called Dobble, which I'm sure you'll get into. We'll take it down for Christmas. But she's now playing with the boys and her with that game. It's a card game, and that's nice. Seeing like they're the age now where they can play a card game together, and generally not fight too much. Sometimes it does kick off, but yeah, they're now with the ability to communicate with each other. Obviously, the boys are in school now, so
if you think about it as well, like the older you get, the less that gap matters.
Yeah.
And you just, I think you just end up starting to gravitate towards each other a bit more, because I just think it's
going through life.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're 100%. Like, we're definitely closer than we were when we were teenagers.
Yeah, I think teenagers, and this must be a lot of siblings. They just kind of go their separate ways. And maybe that's going to be nice. Like, when Isla goes to high school, there'll be a 3-ish year gap between the boys joining and her joining. So that gives her time to bed in and get used to secondary school and
have her own independence and her own thing and her own stories and her own friends and her own stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I get it. But, yeah, I mean, I guess you having kids quite young, it's kind of, it depends on what you want, right? It's kind of like, if you want kids when you're 24 or whatever age you were, 12 or something like that.
I always had a thought, and I've said it at the podcast, maybe I haven't, that I'm destined to die young. It's an odd thing to say.
Lovely.
Morbid, I know, but
smash it. What we'll do is I'll get one of my editors to clip that, and then if you do die, then we could just be like Neil had a premonition of his own death.
Yeah, so that's why I've done things so quickly for some reason. I don't know.
Or maybe you're just good at doing it. Someone gives you an idea, and you're like, yeah, I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, maybe not the twins thing. Maybe you didn't necessarily go, you know what? We're gonna have that embryo split and turn into 2 kiddos. Maybe we're not gonna do that, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's a bit mad. And the chances of having twins, like when you look at the chances of being born is crazy. But the chance of being born with twins is just even crazier.
And would you recommend it, Neil?
Now I would. I love the boys, and it's great having the two of them playing in the park and all that kind of stuff. But the first 18 months was bloody hard, and I really enjoy it now. Just seeing them communicate with each other, and they've always got a best friend. It's a nice feeling. And I've got Gordon frozen on my screen. I wonder if he's going to come back anytime soon. But my next one is around start saving earlier. So I had my first job at Pittodrie House Hotel when I was 12, 13 years old, washing dishes. And if I had put £50 away every month, just the money I was earning, I don't know how much I was earning, I think it was like £4 an hour. But if I just managed to... Here he is.
Hello, back again. What were you saying about recommending twins?
I was saying I bloody love it now, but when they first came out, the first 18 months was just mad. I don't know if I've done an episode on that, but that was a wild time. But twins are awesome now. Seeing them develop and come together and communicate. They've always got a best friend. It's awesome.
Great. We both got one on our little list of like saving stuff. I feel like that's a theme, right? I mean, I put mine as like, I wish I'd started a pension, way earlier than I did. A, because of the tax efficiencies, and also now because if I wanted 30 grand a year in my bank account, Neil, when I retire, at say 65 or 66 or something stupid, I need to put like nearly £1,000 a month away.
Yes, I saw that on your on your Instagram. It's mad.
That's terrifying. Do you know what I mean? Like, sure, all my like stuff should all go down and it should be all right and whatnot, and I can definitely do it through my business, so it's fine. But at the same time, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like £850 a month.
Yeah.
If I'd started my pension when I was like 18, I'd be flying.
On the topic of pensions, I was looking at jobs for public, just on LinkedIn. It popped up saying like senior delivery manager for Scottish Government, and 23% pension contributions.
Wow.
It's mad. So like you put in 5% and they put in 23%.
Wow. Why? Why?
I don't know. The base salary is like significantly lower than what I'm on. So I guess that like it's just a thing where the benefits are slightly better, but the base salary is slightly lower.
Still, 23% is mental. How the hell's the government afford that?
Yeah, and if I stay in the job for 3 months and pass probation, I get a 10 grand signing on fee.
Aye, but you get taxed on that.
I will, but it's mad.
I mean, maybe I quit my videography thing, Neil, and become a software lead manager development and get 23% of my pension. But it's bonkers. Like, if you think about saving and the compound on it, I've got, I don't know if Olivia's going to listen to this, but we've got an ISA, junior ISA thing set up, and we kind of put away 25 quid a month, and then we top it up, with Christmases and whatever else, right? And by the way, I've got to keep a note on that because the next kid's going to come along, and I've got to make sure I match that, right? But then do I match it for inflation and all sorts of other bits? Who knows? Anyway, so she's got this little ISA thing, and by the time she's like 18, she'll probably have about 20 grand in it. That's the power of it, right?
Yeah.
And then if she uses that and sticks it in a pension or whatever else, that'll turn into like £1 million by the time she retires.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll need it. She'll need it because £1 million probably only buy a Twix. But it's just mad, isn't it? If you think about savings, and you've put yours as like, I wish I'd put a 50 quid away a month since we were 13 or something.
Yeah, like imagine that. We at our first jobs, we were started working quite young, Pittodrie House Hotel, washing dishes and stuff. Imagine if like our parents just said, right, put 20 quid a month away, 50 quid a month away. Like,
buy Apple shares. Like, imagine that, right? I remember Dad, I think he bought 40 quid Apple shares back in the day.
One Apple share, and now he's got like, I think I want to say 50 or 100.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, because they do like a share split. So then he's got more. And he was telling me, this was a few months ago now, because he got a check through with dividends. And it was a check for like £10. Not much. But his shares are worth a few thousand now.
So he only put 40 quid in and now he's got 100?
100 shares, yeah.
How much is an Apple share now?
No idea. You looking?
Oh, it's not. Okay, it's not ridiculous, but it's about 1,700 quid.
Yeah.
So he's turned £40 into 1,700. But that's it, right? Well, it would have cost you 2,200. Yeah, it's about £2,000.
Yeah.
If you had invested $1,000 in Apple, Neil, 37 years ago, okay, how much do you think it'd be worth now? So my lifetime, $1,000 in 1980.
500 grand?
$2.2 million.
Mad.
Insane. So, like, that's something that I'm like, if I, hindsight and all that jazz, like, we all sit here and go, yeah, that'd be amazing. But, back in the day, if we just spent that 40 quid, Neil, that 50 quid you said you'd save a month when you're 13, like, imagine you bought an Apple share every single month for that. The inch property loss of 15k you'd be fine. You'd do that on cigars a night.
That's what I want to drill into my kids is like, yeah. I don't know how common it is now.
But the thing is, it's the saving thing is a problem because, like, sure, cash in your bank, they are getting whatever interest rate that's sat in your bank, fine. But businesses or like index funds or whatever else, like these things just they continue to go up. Like, was it 8 to 10% or something on average? The S&P 500 has gone up in the past 20 years or something stupid.
Yeah.
Right. Your money doesn't do that if it just sits in a current account, right? So, I think it's about for me, it's about building assets as young as you can for as long as you can. So, like shares in a company, property, like whatever else, things that accrue value. And that's kind of it. So it's a bit like if Olivia, maybe I don't know. I'm thinking on my feet here. So by the way, Olivia, if this hasn't happened, then soz. But it's a bit like if you leave the money in your investment account, I'll add 50% or something stupid.
Yeah. Incentive.
Something like that, where it's like, oh, there's 20 grand in it. If you leave it there, I'll add 10. If you leave it for another 20 years, and you keep putting money into it.
Yeah,
because that would turn that then over the next another 20 years would turn it into probably 100, 200k, maybe more.
Yeah,
and that's going to be way more valuable. Anyway, so yeah, pensions and savings and all that kind of stuff. I would have done it way sooner.
I wonder what these people. I always wonder what these people are doing. I always use this because it's kind of the industry as well. The fitness inspiration people on Instagram. They're just living like online coaches and stuff, check-ins every week. Like, I wonder what their position is going to be when they turn 60 years old.
It's not just them, no, Neil. There's tons of people.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not in employment, you're not forced into a pension.
Yeah, fair.
Right, and there are currently how many self-employed?
So do they just live off the state when they get to 80 years old when you can take a pension?
Yeah. How many self-employed in the UK? 4.2 million people are self-employed in the UK.
Wow.
4.2 million people are not forced into a pension.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in how many of those people don't have a pension.
Yeah.
Because that's scary. Because genuinely, if you sit down and go and through these pension calculators and you work out, it would be nice to have 30 grand a year, until I die, 20 years or so. You need a lot of money, 600k if you want to do 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's for 30 grand a year.
Mad.
In today's money, that's not bad. But in when I'm 66 money, that's buying me a Pizza Express. But you know, there's things happen and whatnot. Like, it's probably someone who's expert in pensions is screaming down his headphones saying that you're going to lose equity in your house. It's going to be worth £10 million, and your cost of living's gone down, and all sorts of other bits and pieces. And that's true. And there's probably inheritance and all sorts of bits and pieces. But So it's just so you can't rely on all those things, right? You can't just sit there and go, Russia might invade next year.
You've got to have a plan.
Yeah, 100%. All right, managed to get the episode done. We might try and record another one this week, Neil, just so we're caught up in our schedule, I guess. Either way, thanks so much for listening to episode number 95. 95, Neil. We are not far off our glorious 100. Yeah, if you enjoyed this, give us a 5-star review on Spotify. We much appreciate it. They've got 10 5-star reviews on Spotify, so if you want to add be the 11th, I'd be absolutely delighted. Not that we know who you are, but we very much appreciate it. We're only on 3.5 listeners, so I think there's probably some people doing fake accounts, Neil, and just sort of giving us 5-star reviews, but very kind of you. Neil does sometimes upload content to Instagram and creates reels. Sometimes he doesn't. If you want to send him abuse, actually, on our Developing Dads Instagram page, feel free. Send him weird reels about how Neil's not posting reels. That'd be quite cool. If not, you can also check us out on YouTube, so you can see my terrible. I haven't had a shower today, so I look terrible. And also how disgusting my spare bedroom is, because we've got new carpet, so we had to move everything into it. But my office is an absolute tip. I don't know how Laura works in here, to be honest. But here we are. Either way, check us out there. Any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to keep them to yourself. Just give us a 5-star review. That'd be great. And yeah, we'll probably see you, at least hear you or talk to you in the next episode. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Bye.